Hello, my children. It is me, Banana Queen, and today I will be reading Klance High School AU. I did not write this fanfic. The owner is Shadow_Fire7897. So, go check it out. Okay, let's get started. Keith's POV, Chapter 9. He's staring at the back of your head, said Alora. He likes you, Keith. I'm not gay, I said, and neither is Lance. 'Cause bi is the baby. I don't want to admit it, said Marlene, walking past us. Yeah, said Alara. He likes you. Shio, please tell her how impossible that is. She has a point, Keith, said Shiro. Yeah, wait, what? I asked. You don't actually agree with her, right? Oh no, I agree with her, said Shiro. My OTP must happen. The teacher walked into the classroom and started giving us instructions. Okay, I'll assign lab partners, said our teacher. We would be testing to see the rate of our heartbeats. Lance and Keith, you two will be partners, said the teacher. I groaned and got up and went to the lab table. Hey, babe, we're partners, said Lance. I smiled. Aw, you smiled, said Lance. No, I didn't. It's fine, babe, said Lance. It's adorable, especially coming from you. He winked at me. Let's just get back to the lab. Let's just get this lab done, sorry. I said, sure, babe. He said, I'll time you. I said, sure thing, said Lance. He laid down on the seat. He's holding his pulse on his wrist while I timed. Okay, remember the number. I said, sit straight up now. He sat up and looked at his pulse. We did this sitting-standing thing, too. After a while, well, it was my turn to do the lab. I laid down on the seat and took my pulse. The bell rang and I got up to collect my stuff. I'd get to see anything to see. You laid on the bed instead, whispered Lance into my ear. He winked and walked out of his class. My face started to heat up. He left me standing there awkwardly and stunned. Why would he say that? Lance's POV. Why would I say that? Well, maybe because I kind of like that mullet head. Keith Cogain. You have no idea how much I like you. Chapter 10. I don't know whose POV because I'm going to jump around. Lance's POV. Now let me think about this. I thought to myself and sat down with Pigeon Hunk. I don't just like Keith. I'm madly in love with him, I thought. I love Keith Cogain so much. You what? Yelled Hunk and Pidge. I said the last part out loud. I said, trying to find an excuse. I looked at them. Dang it! I said, fine. Yeah, I like Keith Cogain. They both fangirled, or fan-peopled, like me. Yes. Yes, said Hunk. Pidge squealed. I signed and saw Keith walk with... I sighed and saw Keith walking in. Hey, Keith, said Pidge. Anyone's POV. Okay, guys. Hey, Keith. Lance looked uneasy. Pidge and Hunk lunged and smiled. How's the mullet head doing? I asked Hunk. I don't know. How's he doing, Lance? Asked Pidge. Lance sighed and looked at Keith. How are you doing, mullet? Asked Lance. I'm good, said Keith. He looked at Lance suspiciously. Why aren't you calling me babe anymore? Keith asked. You don't like when I call you babe? Oh, sorry. You like when I call you babe? Asked Lance, winking. Keith looked down flustered. I shouldn't have had said anything, thought Keith. Lance, why are you smiling? Lance was smiling as Pidge and Hunk laughed and giggled, not gibbled. Keith's POV. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I kind of do, I thought. What? Asked asked Lance. His cheeks were speckled with red. Pidge giggled and Hunk gasped. Gasp, said Hunk. I knew it, said Pidge. You both laughed. Words. You both laughed. They both laughed with each other. That's kind of nice, since I said, trying to find the way to. I said, trying to find what to say, 'cause I like you. I'm in love with you, Lance McLean. You're everything to me. These thoughts passed through Keith's head, 'cause it makes you look weak and weird, I blurted out. Lance's cheeks went back to normal. Yeah, right, said Lance. I'm certainly not I'm certainly not weak. You're clearly hot, I thought. My cheeks warmed at the thought. I got to sit down with Shira and Alora, I said. Why don't you guys sit with us today? Asked Pidge. Lance glared at her. I wondered why. Sure, said Shira. I glared up at him. I knew that I liked him. They smiled and sat down with me. Oh, I sat down with them. Only one seat left besides Lance. Chapter 11. Lance's POV. Keith sat beside me. Hey, I said. Hey, said Kath, said Keith. I smiled at him and winked. Have you been, babe? He rolled his eyes, but smiled. It was adorable. I've been fine, said Keith. I'm glad, babe, I said. So, he calls you babe, huh, Keith? Asked Alora, smiling. You call him babe? Asked Pidge. Alora and Pidge both smiled and giggled. Red specks starting to show up on Keith's face. Are you two dating? Asked Pidge. No, we're not, I said. I didn't want Keith to know I liked him. I didn't want him to know I liked his mullet and his adorable eyes. I didn't want him to know he had an amazing smile. Nope, not at all. Keith's POV. Are you two dating? Asked Pidge. My face started to get warmer. We're not, said Lance. He knew he wouldn't like me, but I still felt hurt. Yeah, mumbled Keith. Hell, Keith, he'll never like you. He's straight. He has rules. He has a ruler while you're a circle? I turned around and listened to the teacher. I still felt hurt and upset. Lance's POV. I can't believe Pidge asked that. She knows that she knows that I like him. I just know that he wouldn't like me, I said. I sat down and listened to the teacher, being disappointed. Pidge's POV. I sat down watching a sad, soon-to-be couple. I couldn't believe they didn't know how each other felt. I had to act, and fast. The bell rang for class to be over. I abandoned Keith and went over to Alora. You tell Lance Keith likes him, I said. She nodded and went to Lance. I went over to Keith. Keith, I called. He stopped and waited for me. Keith, Keith, you know Lance likes you, don't you? I asked. He doesn't, said Keith. Yes, he does, I said. He can't stop thinking about you, even when we want him to. Wait, really? Asked Keith. I nodded. He is in love with you, Keith. Keith smiled and hurried off to Lance. Cinderella finally goes after his prince. Chapter 12. Jumping around, y'all. Alora's POV. I went to find Lance. Lance, I called. He stopped and looked at me. What is it, Alora? He asked. I need to tell you something. I said, Keith likes you. What? He asked, smiling. Keith is in love with you. He even whispered it to us one day. He looked surprised. He really loves you, Lance, I said. He smiled. Where is he? He asked. I shrugged. Lance ran to try to find Keith, his prince. Anyone's POV. Lance ran to Keith while Keith ran to Lance. Everyone watched these two gays to be together. Then what? That would be hella cute. Couple. Indeed. Then something stopped Lance. He saw familiar. Someone stopped Keith. Someone. and stopped. Keith kept running to find Lance. He finally saw him stop. He smiled. Lance! Lance! Called someone. Keith saw a girl running towards Lance. Rina. Rina? Rina. A name. Rina. I'm going to say it's Rina. Rihanna? Rihanna. Lance, said Lance. He ran towards the girl. Lance, I missed you, said the girl. Rina, I missed you too, said Lance. Rina kissed Lance on the lips. Keith's POV. Tears filled my eyes. Lance is in love with someone else. Lance, I'm so happy to see you. I wanted to fix this, said Rina. Lance smiled and ran away. I didn't want to see any more of this mess. I ran into my room. Shiro was there. Keith and Shiro. Keith, said Shiro, banging on my door. Go away, I yelled. He sighed, and I couldn't hear footsteps leading away from my door. How could I be so stupid? Lance didn't love me, Keith said. Pidge, what? I asked. Please don't open the door. Please open the door. We can talk. No, I yelled. Just leave me alone. I curled up under my covers, covering my eyes, crying, so I could cry myself to sleep. Keith, said Lance. Lance, I ran towards him, crying tears of joy. Then I stopped. Keith, I can't believe how dumb I could be, he said. Why wouldn't I love some weird emo like you? He laughed. Rina came beside him and kissed his cheek. I would never love someone like you, he said. You're nothing, a nobody. Everyone abandoned you on your own, even your own parents. Lance, I whimpered. I hate you, Keith. Kugain, said Lance. I hate your emo self and forever and always. No, I yelled, waking up in a cold sweat. I had been dreaming. It felt so real. Tears stained my cheeks. I busted out into tears. Keith, said someone, please open the door for me. I opened the door and saw Marlene. I sat down on the bed and locked it back up. Marlene's POV. I looked at Keith. His cheeks were wet. His hair and clothes were a mess. What happened? I asked. Love, said Keith. I thought Lance loved me, but he doesn't. He sat down on his bed crying beside me and hugged him. Oh, Keith, I said, I know how bad love is. You do? He asked. I nodded. I love a guy at our school, he said. He'll never notice me, though. Tears started to form in my eyes. I've loved him since we were kids, and he won't ever love me back, Marlene said. Marlene? Keith, said Keith. I'm sorry. I said, I need to go. Go back to being happy, you weirdo. Here's to solve your problems. I smiled. Keith, I said, if you're in love with something, right? If you love something, write for it. Write for it. What? What? He's asked. You love him, so go ask him out. I said, what's the worst he could say? No? Well then, it's his loss, 'cause you're amazing, Keith. He laughed. He laughed and smiled. Really? He asked. Really, I said. He hugged me. Thank you. He hugged me. Thank you. Of course, I said. I'm here for you any time, Keith. Okay, he said. He fixed himself and walked out the doors. He smiled and ran away. Lance's POV. Keith saw Rina kiss me. He thinks I don't love him after I told Rina I wanted to be friends. I walked away and went to go to Keith. He was the one I loved, not Rina. Then I heard he hated me, and now I was walking alone at night. I wish he would just come and kiss me already and say he loved me. Anyone's POV. "Lance!" Keith yelled. Lance looked up and saw Keith running towards him. "Keith?" he asked. He saw him closer. "Keith!" he yelled. He ran to Keith. They met in the middle and hugged. "Keith, I'm sorry," said Lance. "I didn't realize how much that I hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you, Keith." Lance was cut off, and a soft pair of lips met his. He closed his eyes and pulled Keith closer to his hands on his waist. Keith had his hands in Lance's hair. They broke their kiss to catch their breath. "I love you, Lance McLean," said Keith. "I love you too, Malthead," Lance said, smiling. "Forever and always." The end. Haha, almost done. Paige walked into her house and saw Shiro with Alora. She knew that she'd never see her. She knew that, to him, she was rarely anything. Paige walked into her room and went to sleep. Marlene smiled at Keith and ran to Lance. She knew that those lovers would be together one day. She sat on the bed looking down, tears forming in her eye. She loved him, but he'd never love her. Marlene's true love, not Lance or Keith or anything, would never love her. She pulled out a photo she looked at. His brown hair, his perfect eyes. Something said he was annoying, but she loved him. She never felt this way for anyone since Elijah, but he would never love her. The end. Now. Thank you for listening to the end. I really liked this story. This is the last episode for Klance Highschool AU. It was adorable and really good. I squealed through half of it. I had to cut down pretty much all of the squealing. It was really good. So, thank you, Shadow_Fire 7897 for making this. It was really good. It was adorable too. There were a few spelling errors, but it's not like I can talk. I suck at spelling. I suck at every form of literature. But it was a really good story. So, once again, thank you for making it to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed. Don't know what story I'm going to read next. But, till then, stay happy. Bye-bye.